Hello everyone, welcome to the Dyslexia Life Hacks Show. I'm your host Matthew Head, and in this episode I'm talking to Emliy. She's a co-teacher for Ark Franklin Primary School, as well as an adult advisor for the Dyscalculia network. She graduated from the University of Winchester with a degree in musical theatre, and has then moved to London to pursue this career in the arts. As always, I'll put links to the Dyscalculia network and other things we talk about in the show notes, which will be available at dyslexialifehacks.com/podcast. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Hello.
It's great to have you on after meeting you at the Dyslexia show. We were sort of talking.
Great. Networking crazy.
It was indeed, yes. So we will get on to dyslexia, dyscalculia and neurodiversity in a minute. But where I'd like to start this conversation really is your interest in arts and what made you pursue a degree in musical theatre. How did it pull you that way?
How did it happen? So I started performing at the age of 5. So my parents got me involved in acting and singing and dancing because of the neurodiversity part of my life, because I didn't really enjoy school. And they clearly saw something in me. And then I kind of just got like the performing arts bug. And when I went to school, even there was an opportunity where I was very young and I performed at the Birmingham Hippodrome. And it was Joseph and his Mason Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I think I was in year 6. I can't remember the age of that, and that's when I was like, I'm going to do this for for the rest of my life. And it was 2 weeks, and it was amazing. And then since then, I've been doing like drama classes on Saturdays when I was younger, choir, and then it got to my GCSEs when my family were like, you've clearly, do something that you love, because I didn't enjoy school. School wasn't great. And I would go to the practice rooms and I would sing, and the music teacher loved me because he was just like, I was always in there just singing. And then it kind of got serious as well. And I was doing like singing grades. So singing grades, basically like, it kind of got a bit serious because my mum's like a dance mum, as I call them. She would literally be like, you've clearly got a talent. Let's forget school for a bit. Let's focus on what you're good at, because I wasn't good at a lot of things in the classroom. So yeah, then I got to college and I did musical theatre at college, Stratford-upon-Avon College. And my secondary school actually was a performing arts. It was like Langley School, Performing Arts College, so like school plus. So it was very heavily theatre based. Like they had a really good department for performing. Got to college, did musical theatre, and then I took a gap year because it just got so much. And then then I went to university, got my 2-1 in my musical theatre degree, which is one of the biggest achievements of my life. And weirdly enough, the degree was majority written. And for
okay.
It was a lot written, but it kind of helped me now to like adult Emily, where it's like, oh, actually I've got all these skills, not just prancing around on the stage. And I've had some great opportunities. I've sang in London, and then COVID hit, and I kept on performing. I kept on having singing lessons and always doing my passion. And then now I'm in London trying to figure out my career path with being a teaching assistant. And I do after school clubs with my kids. I do drama classes.
Yes.
So yeah, I do. So it's just like it's always been there. It's being an adult with performing. It's not just like a hobby. It's actually like, oh, okay, it's an actual career. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but it's always been stuck with me. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's really interesting though. You were saying about the performance arts degree or the musical theatre degree that you've got. That actually was a lot of writing. Now, I would have thought, yes, because I know writing's part of most degree courses, but I would have thought there was a lot of, would have been to focus on the skill of performing. So being on stage, understanding that. But what sort of writing things are involved? And actually you said most of it's writing. So for somebody who doesn't know what a performance art degree looks like, what does that look like?
There's a very different. So my uni was a university, it wasn't a drama school. So a drama school, from what I've heard, I can't really say 100%, but what I've heard is a drama school is very more practical where you're doing more, you've got more training, you're more in the class, you're doing more like dance lessons, acting. With my university, it was very much like, okay, you're going to learn the basics. You're going back to where you started and you're going to start all the basics. However, we want you to get different opportunity, like if you don't want to do this, you can learn so many other things. So like the history of musical theatre, the skill sets, the different theories. I did my dissertation on Billy Elliot, youth culture and sexuality, and you wouldn't even think about that about musical theatre. You're like, oh, you just like running around on stage, and you're like, oh, actually learn so much deeper about the history of it. And it was great. The first 2 years, I actually really hated it. But then I really struggled with the form. Like, honestly, I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But my writing just got better and better and better. And then my performing side, where you're doing, I directed a play, for example, and I produced it alongside 5 others of my colleagues, well, not colleagues, my friends. Colleagues. Yeah. 5 of my friends, and it was mixed with writing and performing, and we got a really high grade with it. So I think if I didn't do the writing, I really think I wouldn't have probably come out with a 2-1, because it was very much like a lot of written. But
yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting, isn't it, how you sort of pick something you love, but actually, interestingly, you didn't go to a stage school kind of, you went to a university, which, did you know at the time when you signed up for it that you actually were going to do a more writing heavy course, but looked at the rest of the course and thought, yes, this is what I want to learn, versus the more stage school, physical, standing up, performing kind of side of it?
I think stage school really scared me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think drama school really scared me, because realistically, being a neurodiverse person that I am, I was like, how realistically are they going to see a dyslexic, dyscalculic and dyspraxic in their rehearsal room? I could be like a proper alien to them. So I was like, I'm going to move away from drama schools and go down the route of universities. And when I went around Winchester, I really loved the environment, because it was just very cute and very small. And then looking at what they were like, this is the situation, like this is what you're going to be doing. I kind of just like, wow, that's a lot of like, I said to my mum was like, it is a lot of writing. But we both had the same conversation. I was like, actually, could it help you though? And of course, the audition wasn't a writing test; it was a singing audition. So I didn't go on based on like, oh, can you write as a 3,000-word essay about the Lion King? They literally was like, they based it on my talent.
Yeah.
They didn't base it on like a written test. But yeah, it was a risk. It was a risk to take it. But a lot of universities that I was looking at, like other courses, just wasn't hitting the mark. Like there was just some of them I wasn't, because this course that I did actually was very new at the time.
Okay.
It wasn't very established, and I was like, I'm taking a risk as well as that. But yeah, honestly, the university was the final year was much better for me, but it was cut short because of COVID.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, it was cut short. Got sent home. But yeah, it was good testing.
So, out of curiosity, because I'm sure some people listening might be interested, what was the song you sung for the audition? Did you get to pick it?
Oh, yes, I did pick it. What was it? Oh my goodness, this is so long ago. This is when I feel old. So what was it? Oh my goodness, it'll come to me. I got let me think. Was it Dying Ain't So? I think it was Dying Ain't So Bad from Bonnie and Clyde, the musical.
Oh, okay, cool.
And If I Loved You from Carousel as well, I think.
Right, yes, okay. Cool.
I think there was 2 songs. I think it was, Dying Ain't So Bad, because that was in my rep, as they call it.
Do they? Okay. Cool. So what I want to do is kind of, that'll make you feel really old. He says, but winding the clock back to, you alluded to when I started asking you about your interest in the arts, that actually you got into the arts because having neurodiversity meant that school wasn't that much fun for you. So did you know you were neurodiverse at school, or did you just feel that you weren't fitting in very well with the curriculum?
So I got tested very young. I think I was like 5 or 6 or 7, that kind of age. But I was very aware about what was kind of going on because the teachers weren't nice to me. It was
that was
very
the canary in the coal mine.
You know what I mean? I was very aware. I was like, oh, this teacher's shouting at me because of this. Like, I was like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Why are they shouting at me? It got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're shouting at me because like something's not clicking. And my first school that I went to, which I won't name because I've said that I have talked about this story so many times, and they probably have a cheeky lawsuit against me or something. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe get free prize. I don't know. And they were horrible. And my mum. And I remember I remember so visually my mum sitting in meetings with the school and them literally like, well, we don't know what we're going to, like, you know, my mum would be I would be crying because my mum would drag me up the corridor because I didn't want to go to school. I just did not want to be at that school. I got my page ripped out in front of the class, got shouted at.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Got told up to stand in front of the whole school to do my top button. Got told to stand up and do spelling tests when I couldn't, all that kind of thing. And then because I had really clever friends, like clever people in my class, and I would come in with my pink tinted glasses, looking like Elton John, and they'd be like, "Why are you wearing that?" And I'd be like, "Because the words won't need to jump." Because I was so aware, like the words were jumping on the page at that such a young age, and to this day, the other day they were jumping on the page. So I was aware that I wasn't normal, and I hate to say that word, but because you're in a big fish bowl with so many other fishes, and you're very obvious sticking out, like it sounds like very descriptive, like my fin's still like a little bit broken, and everyone else is a little bit fixed. If that can,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
I think I'm following the analogy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like I was very. It was obvious. And then later on in my life, when I got tested, I kept on getting tested a lot because of my statement. Like, it was called a statement back in the day.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, because I got pulled out of that first school and then moved to a second school, which was a private school. And I'm not like ashamed, so I went to a private school. It was very they were amazing. Kingswood School were amazing. Mr. Shaw was amazing. Neil Shaw was amazing. And they embraced my differences where they would, when I got into like year 5 or 6, I would stand up on a Friday in the classroom and sing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't hitting the curriculum. It sounds really bad, but my mum did take me away. I'm not going to confirm or deny, but I didn't do my SATs. And I definitely didn't go on a plane somewhere while they did their SATs because I wasn't hitting the curriculum.
Right. Okay.
So... Oh yeah, going back to your question, it was a young age. I was very aware of what was going on, and I'm quite glad that I knew what was going on because that's given me, now working with the Dyscalculia network and everyone, it's given me the power. And then I got to secondary school, and I was just a very angry teenager with what I had, and very frustrated and just wanting it to just go. And then yeah, I was very aware, very, very aware because people weren't nice. And I was in an SBLD unit in secondary school, cut off from the whole world. But honestly, they were great. Mrs. Dawes, Mrs. Rooksby, they were absolutely fantastic to make sure we weren't like an alien to everyone.
Yeah.
Because you do feel like an alien. And yeah, it's people were cruel and teachers were cruel. So yeah, I was very aware.
Okay. And was that, you were aware of dyslexia from that age, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, or all three?
I didn't know the name, but I knew something was up. That's how it was like. The words were jumping. I couldn't, like, my speech, I was always a bit behind understanding people.
Mm-hmm.
My maths times table was non-existent. I I would never go like that kind of thing. Like I wouldn't go swimming because I couldn't get changed. So wouldn't like that kind of thing. Like I knew I was different. And it was hard. Really hard for my mum and dad and my brother to watch that.
Yeah, I imagine it was. And you mentioned that you kept getting tested and stuff because you were statemented. I imagine you were statemented with dyslexia because that had been, I guess, the most kind of...
I think it was dyslexia and dyscalculia first and then dyspraxia.
Was it? Yes. I was wondering how the timeline came out because obviously dyslexia is more widely known as well. So whether that had been picked up first, I was kind of curious. You mentioned about being moved around to different schools. What sort of things did the schools that did a good job, what sort of things did they put in place to help you? Let's first of all focus on dyslexia and then we'll get into dyscalculia and dyspraxia. So for dyslexia first, what sort of things were being put in place?
So Kingswood were great with my dyslexia where, first of all, I had really good communication with my mum and dad. They were really understandable. So to get my reading up, I would have basically like a one-to-one.
Yeah, okay.
Where she would pull me out instead of going to assembly. We would read stories, do more like a speech and language kind of thing. Because I did have speech and language problems as well back in the day. So it all kind of like merged. So they would do like one-to-one reading, a lot of handwriting stuff. I think a lot of trying to get the working memory really in like going, because I think my working memory was just really it wasn't great. So it was a lot like just going over stuff constantly, and then they would reward all my good things. For example, I got a Parker pen because like my little pink Parker pen because I reached a target, and it was basically like the most simplest target. And then we moved into a smaller group with a lot of kids like me, like with dyslexia. And for example, they would create a book for us to write and like give us, and they really honed on our creativity because they knew looking back, people like our age were clearly there's different things we're good at. So with the dyslexia, they're very much like having the communication with my mum and dad, and then making sure my work, like I'll be taken out of class a lot and doing reading and writing and just basic stuff. And then I had a tutor, a specialised tutor, a family friend that I had outside school as well. So I had a lot going on, a lot with my dyslexia. Then I did so much with my dyslexia, and then so they did a lot.
Okay. It sounds like obviously you were getting lots going on, and that must have rolled into your university stuff. And as much as you said you disliked the writing the first few years, did you use the same tools again, or did you find new things to help you out with the writing as you went through university? When the pressure's on and you're actually doing something you love and writing about something you love, it can be very different in terms of how you approach it.
Yeah, I'm better without structure.
Right.
Like it was tricky at uni when I had to do a certain point of like how to do things, and I've caught this thing where I'm very like, I will write a sentence and that's me explaining it, and my mom's like, no, you need to explain more. Like you need to, like, you need to just not just keep it like that's it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like deeper. And then I did eventually get support at university for everything, because DSA took so long to get retested again.
Yes, you do. Yeah, I remember
that. Surprise, I was still...
you were still there.
I'm still there. Like, I haven't gone away. I had to pay so much money to get tested again. And I called my mum, I was like, guess what? I still got it, Mum. And she's like, really, I'm so glad we spent all that money.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So it was really, and it brought quite a lot of back up, being back in that room and getting tested again at the age of 20, how old? So uni was great. I had a really great lady. She was crazy. Okay. I love crazy people. They're just great. And she would literally break down every single thing for me. Like we would run over by like hours, because she would break down, because that's what people need with dyslexia. Someone to like patience, calm it down.
Yeah.
We're not someone like, oh, I've got to go and catch my train. That kind of thing. Need someone to just like be on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
But uni, like secondary school, I clearly had like a massive burst of creativity. I don't know what it was, but I got a B in my English literature.
Okay.
Which is just, and then a B and then a C in my English language.
Oh, blimey, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was one of the first people in my year. So because they gave us, because I was in the SBLD unit, they made sure they put us ahead of the year to make sure we had loads of chances to get our C.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Got it first time, and that was a massive achievement. And it was, something English wise, creativity. It's just, I love it, and I love poetry, and I love Shakespeare and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting, isn't it? Funny, isn't it? How giving you something you could get your teeth into, like so poetry, Shakespearean, English, and all that kind of stuff, actually gets you decent grades because it gives you the thing to pull you through maybe the difficulty with writing it down, or you can. Well, that gets out of the way because you suddenly can just think of a lot of stuff to put down for it.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, honestly, English literature was my friend because it was just like there was no structure. I could literally just write whatever and be really creative with it. And it got to a point where like the headmaster brought me into his office and was like, I just want to say like this is great work. And I was like, sometimes they say that to dyslexics just to make you feel a little bit better. That's what they do. And I know your games and I appreciate it. But, it was really nice. And, and to this day, I love writing. I can I write stories and stuff.
Yeah, cool. So let's jump back to dyscalculia, dyspraxia, and whatever way you want to tackle them. So you now know you've got dyscalculia. So we've got tools in place for dyslexia. How or what does adjustments for dyscalculia, and what does it look like being statement to somebody with dyscalculia? How can you use things to help you with the struggles with maths?
Non-existent. That's simple.
Right. Okay.
I've talked about 5-10 minutes about dyslexia, right?
You have, yes.
Yeah. And I got diagnosed and they literally had no idea. They were like, it's like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which are we going to choose? And I think that's how they were like, let's focus on dyslexia because we have no idea. Because I was extremely dyscalculic and I'm still dyscalculic today.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they knew how to tackle it. And I got to secondary school and they had to put the teacher on the course because like, for like a day course to understand what it is because I don't think they could fathom how you would go over something 10, 15 times. I don't know if that's very dramatic, like 4 or 5 times. On basic fractions, for example, and the next day I would forget it. Or like understanding my times tables. And then literally, I remember the teachers looking at me like, are you like, they were coming from a good place because like, are you like, what's going on? And because they don't have the same amount of like so much research and like so many people, blah, blah, I've got dyslexia, and a child who's got all 3, like how do we even tackle that for her to get the best education and come out with the grades? And my college forced me to do my maths GCSEs, even though I had 4 GCSEs. I know they were all CBs, whatever. And they were like, and I don't think they understood. I was like, my mom kept on saying, she cannot do maths.
Yeah.
It's pointless to put her in a classroom when she's missing out on singing and dancing and acting for her to go through it. So my mom would compromise with the lady. She went, look, she'll go to the class, but she won't do it. She'll sit in the classroom for your benefit, but she's not going to do it. So yeah, I think to this day, I'm even being a co-teacher in school. A lot of people don't really know what it is, and me talking about it, they're like, "Oh, that's really interesting." I'm like, you should know. But yeah, dyscalculia it's a very under researched place.
Yes, and dyspraxia.
Dyspraxia. There was a lot of things put in place. For example, if I went swimming, there was like, they didn't rush me putting my clothes back on because dyspraxia, to this day, I struggle putting my clothes on. I honestly can't struggle. Dyspraxia, I think they're just not getting frustrated, basically, because dyspraxia is all about coordination and processing. You can't really put anything in place for dyspraxia. That might be a bold statement, but you just need to be like understanding that, oh, that's why that child is can't catch a ball kind of thing. And they put me in the net, my Kings would put me in the netball group when I couldn't even catch a ball, that kind of thing. And just having this like that sense of like laughter about it. You know what I mean? Just like embracing it. And dyspraxia isn't very talked much about. And dyspraxia's always got a co-occurring friend. It's not really by itself, I suppose. It's always with something. But dyspraxia in school for me, it was very much like my shoe. I never I pretended I didn't do I think I learned to do my shoelaces about 5 years ago. I think less than 5 years. Yeah. So it's just that kind of understanding and just making sure that you're patient and asking if you need any help, because it is really embarrassing to ask. You could do my top button for me, or can you cut my food up, kind of thing, or like but I think being at home, my mum and dad and Ollie were great about it. They would, I think we find it funny. It's like, I'm never going to drive, that kind of thing, because
okay.
Yeah,
well, it's just a coordination of gears, steering wheel, and feet.
Honestly, I had driving lessons, and I'm actually a hazard.
Okay, right, yeah.
I'm an actual hazard because it's just too much. So yeah, I think it's just understanding and patience. That's what all teachers can really do, and friends is. And if you can see in my eyes that I'm going crazy, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? It's just having that support network.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you've performed quite a bit now. Stage direction and all that kind of stuff. Being able to control the singing voice and knowing to where to move on stage and making sure you turn the right direction when you go across stage and all that kind of stuff. Now, that feels like it wouldn't be easy for somebody with dyspraxia. So how did you find it in that context?
It's weird because I don't even think about it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't even think about it. Dance moves, being dyspraxic, is hard.
Yes.
The working memory is like, it takes its sweet time to get it. But as soon as that dance routine's in my head, it won't move. As soon as I'm practicing for I could be in a dance studio for 2 days, then it will go in my head, that kind of thing, because the working memory is so it's slow.
Yeah.
And
so you just put it down to muscle memory by that point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like anyone really. Like some people, I see some dancers and dance rooms, I'm like, how have you got that in a minute? That's like magic. But I know that I probably get that dance routine in a couple of days and it'll stick. But yeah, on the stage, dyspraxia doesn't really. I don't know what it is. I think it's like a different wire in my brain that's like, it's like, you're on the stage. You're fine.
Does the dyslexia get in the way of script reading, or is that the same different wire?
Well, I've learned there's tactics now. What I do for dyslexia.
Yeah.
So I write. So what I've learned recently is quite good is self-tapes. Self-tapes is when you literally film yourself. You have a script. You learn it, you press record, and you can do as many records as much as you want, and you've got a deadline in 3 days or whatever. Yeah. So what I do is I write the first letter of every word to make so, for example, if it's like a cat sat, it'd be like a ka s, and then I go over it going a cat sat.
Yeah.
It's weird, but you have tactics, you do things, and then as soon as it's in your brain, it doesn't go.
Yes. Yeah. So it sounds like you do a lot of techniques and things particularly when you're performing, to get all the stuff in your head, so when it becomes showtime and the pressure's on, it's all muscle memory by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So it's interesting, isn't it, how sort of that you're able to remember a dance on stage, but not necessarily be able to do the coordination to drive a car. It's a bit more of a dynamic, non-rehearsed environment where it's kind of like, right, car's coming from the left, I need to change gear.
The times I think the last time I was in a car, I nearly crashed into a lamppost with my dad.
Oof.
And never again, I've never gone near a steering wheel.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, honestly, like even, and it's mad, like I can do left, I can run across the stage, I can do sprint, I can do quick changes, whatever, but I can't cross the road without like I've been so close so many times to be run over because of my processing and like seeing a car, but I can run across a black stage without any lights into like through people. It's mad. It's weird. It's so weird. So weird.
I guess I don't know for sure, but I wonder if it's a lot more to do with the stage. It's the same environment that you've seen for the rehearsals and all that kind of stuff, whether it's that environment that's not dynamic. Everybody knows where they should be.
Yeah.
They've rehearsed it. Your stage hands are swapping everything over. Your tech's doing their thing. All the actors are in the right place. Yeah. Where driving is very much a dynamic environment. Yes, the car's the same, but who knows what that lady's going to do off the path there, or the cyclist coming off the road at the corner, or the other car coming around the roundabout. And whether that's that processing of all that dynamic environment tends to be what becomes an issue for you.
Honestly, I just keep myself far away from the road as much as I can for everybody's safety.
Yes, yes, it sounds like it.
So watch out, Emily's about.
Yeah, yes.
But the thing is, I love cycling.
Oh, and how do you find the coordination of that?
Love it. You might not know this. It's called a DAP program. It's a coordination. And I was very young, and my parents put me on it where it was all about coordination. And I think I learned to ride a bike under like 12 weeks or something. My dad's got the number, like under 8, I don't know. And cycling is like, I don't know what it is, but I love it. And I always cycle around London at night time. I don't cycle during the day because that's a hazard in itself.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, cycling, I was always cycling at a very young age.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did the DAP program do with coordination? What were they doing differently to just how kind of other people would maybe learn?
It was this weird thing, and it was so bizarre, honestly, but it worked. And it was like for example, I would go in a box I would do like exercises. So like I would do like put your arm up and put your arm down, and then put your arm up, and then like go on like catch the beanbag, throw the beanbag, walk upstairs, and it was so me and my dad would do it. And it was so teaching. I would literally be kicking and screaming because I was such a young age. But my parents, it was like, I'm rewiring my brain so adult Emily can live basically without parents. You know what I mean? So like it was like catching a beanbag and then like doing like a wobble board and like balancing. Also, it was all that kind of like sound. I've had sound therapy. Which is like I went to Chester, and it's like all different Mozart music, and that would help my speech and language, like all different pitches. So yeah, I've had all sorts. Kumon, all that stuff.
Okay, it's really interesting how they kind of different therapies are out there.
It's weird. It's all because it's all natural and stuff, and because there's not like a cure or a pill for whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I've got, you turn to anything. And I think my parents were so desperate at the time. They're like, what do we do?
Yeah. So how can they set adult Emily up the best they can?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what I'd like to shift focus to is your work with the Dyscalculia network. Now, obviously you're an ambassador for them. So let's start with what they are to begin with.
Yeah. So the Dyscalculia network is a organisation which is run by all volunteers. So we've got Kat and Rob, the amazing Kat and Rob, and then there's us. So Peter Cherry is the advisor board, I think, and then I do like social media and stuff. You might see my face just asking, being that person trying to get Dyscalculia out. They've got loads of like information on their website, which is basically like a hub for Dyscalculia information, like actually like updated. People like parents, educators, adults can go to it so they can look up everything, which is basically all things Dyscalculia. And then they've got all the information about assessors. And to be honest, when it was at the Dyscalculia show and I had all these people like, do you know if I can get an assessor in Swansea? And I'm like, I don't know. is your child here? Can I talk to them about dyscalculia? Like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't help you there, but I don't know about Swansea, my love. So they do a lot, and me and Kat are on the BDA board for Dyscalculia as well, and I'm the only dyscalculic on the board and the youngest. That was a big achievement. But yeah, so it's basically a lot of us trying to get the Dyscalculia name out. So, for example, when Matt Hancock was like, we want to do maths until, was it Matt? I don't know, Rishi. God, they're all the same. Rishi was like, oh, they were going to do maths like until you're 18. Then we would use our platform to be like, actually, no, that's not okay. And we're building a big network. We're really getting, Kat got me a really great opportunity to do, did a Channel 4 documentary. I did How to Be an Ally.
Oh, yes.
It's on YouTube. And honestly, there's so many opportunities. Like, there's so many little things going on in the background with the network. And honestly, it's because we've all got jobs. But
yes, of course.
We've all got day-to-day jobs, and then we come home and like, I might edit a video, I might do like a little post or something. During the Dyscalculia show, you might have seen me just go around with a little microphone interviewing people.
Yeah, I did see that.
I was like, answer questions, and all like, I was like, oh. So yeah, and I love it, and I really want to get an opportunity. I would love to work in social media because of the Dyscalculia, what the opportunities allow me to do in the Dyscalculia network, like giving a free for all, do whatever. But yeah, honestly, the network's growing. It's all Dyscalculia, trying to get people to talk about it.
Okay. So it sounds like, obviously, it's a volunteers resource, and it sounds like the go-to place for dyscalculics, and you're also trying to spread awareness. So is it then trying to also get more research in it? Because you did mention that actually your experience was like you got the diagnosis, you knew what it was, now what?
Yeah. So we would, like, for example, partner with a university that are doing it. So they would like, oh, have you got any dyscalculics on your board that would speak to us about their experience, that kind of thing. So it's research, getting the platform, and we want to be the go-to place for dyscalculia. And we've got a really big goal and dream for it to be as big as the BDA and we will get there. It's just a lot of like these kind of opportunities to talk about it, and doing social media and getting the name out. It's gonna be long. It's gonna be a long journey. Like we've recently just hit 1,000 on TikTok.
Oh, nice.
The little wins. It's the little wins.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really interesting you're saying about coming on something like this and getting out there. Like, talking. You pointed out 10 minutes or so worth of conversation about your dyslexia and your health through school and how different schools do things. And then we got to dyscalculia and dyspraxia, and it's like a few minutes and we're done. And the contrast with the brilliant work that people like the BDA have done. It's been a long established association since the 60s, I think it started.
Yeah, but a long time. Yeah.
A long, long time, where obviously dyscalculia and dyspraxia awareness is a lot more in its infancy. But I hope people are kind of understanding. Hang on, particularly when they're used to listening to other episodes of this podcast. And even if we talk about something like autism or ADHD, how people have got a lot of stuff in place.
So, yeah.
But dyscalculia seems to be very much in its infancy in its understanding. Is there any sort of interesting things? Somebody's listening to this really is what I'm thinking, and they feel like they might have dyscalculia. First of all, where do they go first?
Oh, they need to find like Dyscalculia network page.
Of course, yeah.
And find the information and find if there is an assessor near you. I'm going to be realistic. There is a price tag.
Of course, yeah. Like most assessments, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember working at the BDA one time it was on the helpline. And I had a grandfather crying down the phone, and he was like, I want my child to get a diagnosis. And he was like, we can't afford it. And it's a really hard conversation because a lot of people are like, go and get tested. It's like, if you want to get tested, there is a price tag on it.
Yes, unfortunately so.
So yeah, it's just go to the Dyscalculia network page, and honestly, they can email Kat, all her information's on there, and Rob, and they will direct you to the right place. I know they're very busy, but go there. Even if you think, oh, okay, I need a diagnosis. I know some teachers, there might be really great teachers out there who really understand it, and they're like, okay, what can we do for you? What's the next steps? There sometimes aren't that network at the school. I think there isn't great. So I think make sure you look around online, see what you can do. And it's not on the NHS. So you can't just click on sort it out. It's very it's tricky.
Yes, of course. Is there any? I know some websites will do a bit of a click a few multiple choice questions. Are you dyslexic? Are you autistic? Whatever. Is there anything like that for people who have the inkling it might be that way, but don't want to kind of dive into the?
I think so.
No,
I don't
okay.
Off the top of my head, but don't do those. Honestly, if you say I struggle with maths, they'll be like, you've got dyslexia. That's probably what we'll come out with. Like these websites are so interesting. But yeah, I think it's a tricky one. My parents were very lucky where they would literally. My granddad was great. He helped me with school and stuff. So we did have that help. It's a quite difficult conversation because not many people have the money to get tested and get the right testing and get the right people to test them. But yeah.
So yeah, and is there anything if somebody is listening to this and they know they've got dyscalculia? I know we're talking about the lack of kind of research out there in terms of tools, but is there anything you find particularly useful to help with dyscalculia apart from, I guess, the calculator on your phone?
I was just about to say calculator.
I'm going to take the easy one from you.
Yeah, I was like, calculator, easy peasy. No, I think there's a lot. I think, first of all, just being aware that you've got it. Don't mask it. I masked a lot of my time. Masking is very real. Doesn't help in the future when you mask because you need the support, and there are people out there to support you. So yeah, I think taking away that mask and embracing what you've got. And I don't want to say that it's a superpower because it's not. It's a difficult power, and make sure you've got you're good at something and you focus on what you're good at, because you get a lot of no's. So for example, basics, right? When you go shopping, it's really quite overwhelming for dyscalculia because there's just numbers everywhere. You're just and I've gotten to a point sometimes where I just put everything in the trolley and then I get to the till and it's £200 and I'm like, I've got 6 items, how have I paid to that kind of thing. So I think even just going to the supermarket, taking it okay, right, I'm going to take my time. I have my calculator, I've got my list, and if it doesn't work out in the supermarket, you can shop online. There's alternatives. It's not the end of the world, that kind of thing. Another thing is just making sure you've got communication with your friends and family about it. I've had times where, I think there was one time I went out for a girly dinner and none of them knew I was dyscalculic because I didn't really know them, but my mate did. One of my closest friends I've known since I was how old?
Yes.
Yeah, and she knew, and they were like, okay, I'm splitting it 10%, 25%, blah, blah, blah. And I literally was like, how? So she basically, I was like, I'll just transfer you the money. And she was like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. 24-hour clocks are not great for dyscalculic. So put it on for 12-hour clock. And if someone's like, why have you got a 12-hour clock? Why have you got a 24-hour clock? So just embracing it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Download really good apps like City Mapper if you want to travel, which is really good to get to A to B. Yeah. The dyscalculic sweats of when you're in a shop and you don't have the right enough amount of money. Just get your card out, pay Apple Pay, or just don't buy it because you clearly haven't got enough. So,
yeah.
There's no simple way. If you think you've got enough and it's not accepting card, probably a dodgy shop. So go to a different shop.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, you know what I mean? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Don't make your life harder. And just have and just joke about it now and then. My boyfriend is great. I have no idea about time management.
Of course, yeah.
No idea. 10 minutes, no idea. I got on this call. It was 6:30. I got on this call at 10 to 6 because I had no idea how long that, like 40. Yeah, literally, no idea. So I just sat here and was just like, oh, I'm too early. So.
Yeah,
so
far too early.
Far too early. But I didn't know 40 minutes. I don't understand. So what I did. So, but me and my boyfriend are meeting up somewhere. We meeting up at like 1:30.
Yeah.
I will get there for probably like 10 to 1.
Okay.
Which is the Dyscalculia out there. It's 12:50.
Okay. Yes.
And he'd be like, why are you there so early? And then he's an actor as well. And he went to an audition once and he rocked up about 30 minutes before. And normally he's there 10 minutes before, which is like a, non-dyscalculic person.
Yes, reasonable, yeah.
But he got there 30 minutes before and he called me and went, I've done a dyscalculic. I'm standing out this audition room 30 minutes before than I should have. I blame you. And I was like, well, you're early than you're late. So thank you later.
Yeah,
so
it's better than missing it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of just like embracing it and talking to people and getting, talk to this Dyscalculia network because we're always here to chat. Because there's not many of us in the community. Undiagnosed people. There's probably loads. Probably loads of us, but it's a weird place. But we're all here.
Okie dokie. So, what I'm likely to do before we wind this podcast out is every guest that comes on the show gets 3 rapid fire questions from me. They don't necessarily need short answers from you, but they are quick questions from me. So let's dive into question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
What prejudice have you had about dyslexia that's been proven wrong?
That we can't read and write.
Yeah. Yes, considering how good your GCSE grades were.
Yeah, and it's so much there's so much deeper speech and language and all sorts. It's not just because speak.
Okay. And if an alien landed and you had to describe dyslexia and then dyscalculia to them, how would you do it?
Dyslexia, I would describe in one word or
however many words you like.
Okay. Dyscalculia is baffling. I think because it's just I don't understand it.
Okay.
Dyslexia is I'm a bit deeper, but it's uncurable. It's not nice. Both of them are uncurable, but that one, dyslexia, is very, very uncurable.
Okay, fair enough. And seeing as this is the Dyslexia Life Hack show, what is your favourite dyslexia life hack?
Being over-organised.
Yes? Oh, okay. Do you have your day planned to military precision?
Oh, yeah. I've got everything to the T. I've got my clothes out ready for tomorrow.
Nice.
Sorted out in my head what I'm going to have for dinner. I've figured out what train I'm getting in the morning. I've got things listed. I've got lists. Oh yeah, and lists. Yeah, lists. Okay. But sometimes you forget about the list. But being over-organised is my good pal.
Okay, cool. So before we sign off, where can people find you, and is there anything else you'd like to add?
So you can find me on socials. It's basically Emliy G.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I've got Facebook. Probably no one's really on Facebook anymore. Twitter. And yeah, just like honestly, if you've got any you want to chat to me, I'm happy to talk. I'm very like you said, I'm an open book. And yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity, guys.
No problem at all. That leads me to thank you very much for coming on the show. And to thank everybody else for taking the time to listen. And I will speak to you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.